What's up, dude? Hey,
How's it going?
good. How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. Cold as balls.
Fair enough. Okay, so first I must ask: is it okay if I record this phone call?
I'm sorry you're breaking up.
I'm breaking up. I'm gonna try. Can I call you FaceTime audio?
I don't have any Wi-Fi right now.
Oh, okay. You're not home. Okay,
Yeah, I'm by the train right now.
got it. Can you hear me though? Is it fine?
Yeah, I hear you good now.
You can hear me good now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it okay if I record you?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right. So I'm writing a paper on gender discrimination and the potential wage gap. I already know your some of your standpoints.
Right.
This is just me kind of going in at a non-biased perspective, I guess. So I'm actually going to interview someone else who has strong opinions opposite of you later.
Oh, all right.
So, but anyway, all right. So first
Tell
question.
them I said hi.
I'll tell them. You say hi.
There's some chauvinist a-hole says hi.
So, okay. Actually, what was the?
I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise on my
No,
end. There's a giant train right next to me.
it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so first question. In general, how do you feel about gender discrimination in the workplace? Does it exist, and in what ways? Now, this is just specifically discrimination, not necessarily the wage gap.
How do I feel about gender discrimination? I feel like it's evil. Does it exist? I believe it does. It's just a question of to what extent. Sorry, the train's coming right by.
It's all good.
Okay, that train's pulling out. My train should be here like in 45 seconds, so I might get loud again for a little bit, and then I'll be on the train. I'll be good to go.
No problem.
All right,
No problem.
can you read the question again?
Yeah, in general, how do you feel about gender discrimination in the workplace? Does it exist, and in what ways?
I think it's evil. I think it exists. I don't think it to the large extent as people think it does. It's not like we're living in the show Mad Men anymore. I don't think it's to that extent. And to how it exists nowadays, I believe it varies. It depends on different situations. You'll have a say like a boss that favors men or a boss that favors women. From both sexes, I feel like people discriminate in ways that fit their needs.
Okay, fair enough.
Is there another part of the question that I missed?
No. That's it. You answered it, I believe.
Okay.
Now, is sexual harassment a problem in America's work environment?
I would say so. Yes. Obviously, with Hollywood, they got a big issue. I've heard a lot of stories just from people out and about.
Yeah. Do you think it's a problem in Hollywood's obviously a very minority group of the workforce? Definitely not as many people in that as some other industries.
Sorry, this train is way too damn loud. Hold on.
No, it's all good.
They have the biggest freaking freight train pull through Fullerton. I feel really bad for these people in these apartments right next to it.
It's all good.
Are they apartments? I think they're condos, actually. You're paying $500,000 for loud noises. Okay. All right, it's kind of pulling away. All right, say it one more time.
So, obviously, Hollywood is a very small amount of the labor force in America. Do you feel sexual harassment is a problem in more other industries? Like I notice stuff in the restaurant industry a lot, and that's a big industry.
Yeah, I think it can be in any industry. I'm just not aware of all the industries say to what extent. That's why I said again, it varies based on where you're working.
Do you think it's a big enough a problem that we should address it in some way?
Yeah, it should be addressed, and it should also be a thing where people shouldn't be afraid to speak out. I feel like when people sort of grandstand and just make vague claims like there's this boogeyman effect happening of things going on, I feel like it'd be more beneficial to out people and to be like and to get it over with, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever been discriminated against in the workplace for anything, maybe even because of your gender?
No.
Fair enough. Have you ever seen someone else be discriminated against in the workplace? Maybe even because of their gender?
No.
Never? You've never witnessed any form of sexual harassment? Maybe maybe an higher up talking about a female employee or talking to
Yeah, definitely that. I'm thinking in a more traditional like people grabbing.
Yeah, the Donald Trump,
Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. Yeah.
People just kind of have their comments off to the side, not necessarily directed at somebody. But I guess if you're going by the book of what that harassment is, I guess that technically covers it. So yes.
So do you generally see it more directed towards women than men?
Well, in my particular line of work, there's a lot of homosexuals, so it tends to be a lot more of men mostly. But
so, yeah. But what you're saying is still, disregarding if it's a woman.
It's been both.
It's both. So disregarding gender, it's still an issue of comments maybe inappropriate in the workplace directed towards women. Okay. All right. So big question of the day: what's your opinion on the gender wage gap, and does it even exist?
I believe it is a thing that exists, but it does not exist in the way that people make it out to exist. For instance, if you have women, if you compare men and women, women do make less money in comparative fields, but if you adjust for hours, you adjust for college education, that kind of thing, they're being paid exactly the same. If you just apply simple basic economics to it, it makes no sense to pay women less and pay men more, because then you'd see these corrupt corporations only hiring women to save extra 30 cents per hour.
Yeah.
It's another boogeyman people use to show that there's an oppression, and therefore there's Group A that's above Group B, oppressing Group B, therefore you side up with Group B. It's just the left's typical attempt to side with the little guy.
Yeah. Okay. What if I told you that statistically now more women than men are graduating college?
I would agree. That is a thing.
And do you see if that 30 cents wage gap, obviously there's a lot of other factors going into it. Do you see that 30-cent wage gap closing a little over the next decade because more women are graduating from college than men?
If women start majoring in STEM fields rather than in lesbian dance theory and gender studies, then yes.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, and then
just say that not a lot of women are majoring to be, mechanical engineers. They're majoring to be, other useless people in useless majors. Just like myself, I'm in a useless major. At least I have two options for actual jobs. Whereas if you have gender studies, I guess you have the job of writing a useless textbook and can make $200 off of.
Yeah.
I'm not to say I'm totally out of the clear on this. I am not in the STEM area, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you're also focused on going to law school, which is different. So.
Right.
Okay. So what policies would you recommend be put in place in order to combat gender discrimination in the workplace, including things like sexual harassment?
What policies would I propose?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, from a conservative standpoint, I know you believe that government should be hands off. But do you see any other?
Yeah, because we're
Well, yeah, obviously there's laws against discriminating against gender and race for like pay, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Do you see a way to maybe implement policies that maybe combat more sexual harassment in the workplace, maybe stricter regulations or something, or
There could be a way. I mean, this is probably already on the books, but there could be like sort of like a whistleblower thing where you're being harassed and you're afraid that your boss has too much power over you and you get fired if you speak up. That you have protection in that. You can sort of form a group within the people that you work with to sort of get together and take down your boss kind of thing without any repercussions on your end. But I feel like that already exists. It's kind of like whistleblowing.
Yeah.
Laws. But yeah, I don't really see anything else that could be done. People just need to speak up.
Okay. And how do you propose how do you propose we motivate women to enter higher wage fields such as those STEM fields? Because actually doing some research, you'll find that obviously this the majority of those STEM fields it is men, and I feel like there's possibly a stereotype against women in those fields. Maybe
they might. Well, I mean, women just tend to be into different things that men are into. It's just that's a politically incorrect truth. Men and women are different, and we have different desires and things that drive us.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that there's no women in STEM fields, but typically that's just the average. So I don't know if there's a way to push it, but because I'm not going to be able to be someone to shape culture and society into making it cool for women to be in something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I'm not being answering good questions.
No, you're answering them perfectly. Honestly, these are just based. They're just questions I made up to help get you to talk and use your responses in the paper. So I mean, if you're opposed to any of these things, if you don't think there is a need for any of these things, that's still a good response because I'm going to use, when posed with the question of whether or not, there's a need to get women to enter STEM fields more, this person's perspective was that, you can only do so much, but at the end of the day, men and women are just different inherently, and it's still. Yeah. So you see what I mean? Like, regardless of your answers, I can use it still. And I guess my last question for you would be, if you notice, there's not a push for. There actually are some programs that try to promote women entering STEM fields, but you don't see programs trying to target men for generally lower wage positions like teaching and nursing.
Yeah.
Do you feel there should be? Do you feel like there's a need to push men to enter those stereotypically female positions?
Wait, say that question again.
Do you feel there's a need to promote men entering these statistically and stereotypically female-dominated positions like nursing and teaching?
No, I don't think I should be promoting anything. I think you should just let people make their own choices. And
So if there's a stereotype that men should not be in nursing or teaching because it's a very what's the word? It's traditionally women. It's stereotypically women. Do you feel that there are men who would be really great in those fields who are avoiding them just because of the stereotype of a male nurse or whatever? Like,
there I'm not even sure there's really. I don't even think that's a problem that needs an answer. I don't even think it's necessarily a problem. I think if 90% of nurses are women, I don't think that's really hurting society unless you're coming at it from like a social justice aspect where we need, like quotas for sexes and for races and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think you should embrace the differences and just if a place is hurting for help in one way, like right now, someone's willing to get paid, they're gonna go for it.
I guess a better question would be, are these stereotypes, like, not just, I guess, men being in a or a dominantly female control position, but also women entering other like aspects like finance that does not see a lot of women. So do you think that stereotypes of men and women in different fields are hindering the potential growth that these fields could potentially reach? I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm talking to my friend right now. Two people just yelled at me for saying things that are extremely disrespectful. I don't understand what they're saying.
Wait, they're yelling at you for what?
Yeah, I just had two people yell at me on the train.
For what?
I don't know. Did I say anything controversial? You can put the tape back. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, do you think stereotypes of men and women in specific fields are hurting the growth of our society at all?
Stereotypes are hurting the growth of society?
Yeah. Do you feel stereotypes hurt the growth of society, like these stereotypes?
I mean, yeah, if they're negative.
Like the stereotype that females belong in, more social positions like teaching and nursing that are lower wage, and then that men are more likely to enter the STEM fields. Do you think those stereotypes, I mean, obviously, statistically speaking, it's true right now, but do you think the stereotypes that go along with it are hindering the growth of our society at all?
No, I mean, unless like I said, unless it's a negative thing where it's like, oh, you belong somewhere, then you. But then again, we're not God. We can't significantly change how people think unless this is serious social change, which I don't know how to implement that. But the chips are gonna fall where they may land. I mean, already people are getting pissed off that I said that statistically women make less money because they go into different majors. There's just a difference in how people see things. Stupid.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate you answering my question.
Thank you very much, sir. So, what class?
Okay. So, what's your stance on maternity leave in the United States?
Oh, like it should be mandated, or?
Yeah. So.
No, I think it should be based on where you work, and you should pick accordingly.
Okay. And what if statistics show that productivity of women in the workplace increases with at most a year of maternity leave or less?
I would agree with you, and I would expect companies to follow through on that. Because if they're going to be making more money one way or the other, they can go with that option, right?
That's true.
I mean, what do I know? I'm just some guy on Reddit. That's what always gets me.
Do you feel? I mean, you just said no mandated maternity leave. What do you feel?
I'm looking over my shoulder now. I'm like all paranoid. Some crazy feminazi is going to throw a slushie at me or something. Go ahead.
What? Yeah. If you were open to the idea of a mandated maternity leave policy, as it has been shown that in countries that do mandate it, even 8 weeks of mandate has shown that these women are having a lot more productivity in the workplace environment. What would you propose would be a successful amount of time? And it goes as paternity leave too. I mean, obviously this can't just be one way. If there's maybe.
I think the best option though is not really a mandate, but individuals able to bargain with their employer and be like, hey, for this amount of money, I'm going to be working for this many hours, and I would also like to request, since I'm going to be expecting soon, this much time off, and then you can work with it.
Got it. So maybe
I don't think the answer is government.
Maybe, yeah. So to you, the answer is not government. So you're maybe proposing this idea that it's treated almost as like vacation time in the sense that
Right.
you can talk to an employer about it. You're still going to be paid, obviously. Maybe they can work something out where they get vacation time in advance. So
right. Because you're not supposed to broad brush. I mean, not every woman is going to be having children.
Exactly.
There's going to be some people who would want to be paid more and are not taking that time. But people are going to be like, well, I'm required by law to give you some of that time, so therefore I'll have to cut back a little bit.
Yeah. And would mandated maternity leave laws actually backfire in the sense that you'd see more discrimination against hiring women in the workforce?
Theoretically could, yeah, if it's mandated. If it's not mandated, you could work out a deal.
Exactly.
If it's mandated, you're less likely to hire someone.
Exactly. So you're less likely to hire someone. So pretty much you're not hiring someone based on their gender.
Exactly.
Which is actually in turn causing discrimination.
Right.
Okay. All right.